He sexually assaulted 15 women over a 3-year period, yet not a single person was willing to report him. Because the first 14 victims all worked in the same special industry, they chose to avoid trouble whenever possible, so nobody ever stepped forward to call the police, which only made the criminal become even more reckless. This time he set his sights on a bank employee named Anna. He first used drugs to knock her unconscious, then took her to a remote location, where he committed a horrific crime. After every crime, this man collected name tags engraved with the victims' names as his trophies. But this time something unexpected happened, because he injected too much of the drug. Anna stopped breathing. After returning home, his wife skillfully destroyed the evidence and buried it in their backyard. But the next day, while washing her husband's clothes, she discovered his coat was covered with traces of blood. She realized her husband must have done something serious this time, so she gathered her courage and called the police. The police brought suspect Kim Guk-ho to the crime scene to identify the location. Eventually they recovered Anna's body from the river. Kim Guk-ho was sentenced to 15 years in prison for assault and murder. Because Kim Guk-ho behaved well in prison, he was even named a model prisoner. His sentence was reduced from 15 years to 13 years. But just a few days before this criminal was released, a mysterious person posted a game online. Anyone who killed Kim Guk-ho would receive a reward of 20 billion won. To prove the game was real, he threw 1 billion won in cash into a stadium, making desperate Korean citizens completely lose control. Kim Guk-ho became a walking fortune in the eyes of everyone. On the day Kim Guk-ho was released from prison, a large crowd gathered outside the prison to protest. Some people even ignored the police and tried to claim the huge reward themselves, but the officers led by Old White prevented them from succeeding. The newly released Kim Guk-ho was terrified, but when he arrived home, another crowd was already protesting outside. They angrily accused the government of using taxpayers' money to protect a murderer. Kim Guk-ho apologized in front of the media, repeating the lines prepared by the police, claiming that after more than 10 years in prison he had changed completely, and now he only wanted to live a peaceful life. After saying that, he knelt down and cried, but the moment he returned inside the house he showed his true face, without the slightest trace of guilt. He even started eating sushi. The police became his free servants inside the house. At that moment his wife, who had not seen him for years, came to his door. She brought a lawyer and a divorce agreement. Kim Guk-ho immediately started yelling, saying he would never give up custody of his son before throwing them out. However, Kim Guk-ho did not know that another assassination attempt against him had just begun. An old woman caught several pufferfish from the river and extracted a bottle of pufferfish toxin. Tonight she planned to personally kill that murderer. Meanwhile, inside Old White's underground garage, while on patrol, the security guard discovered a thief. He was holding a screwdriver and prying open the trunk. Just as the guard was about to call for help, he was knocked down by Long Hair. At that moment, Old White happened to return to the entrance of the neighborhood. The guard told him there was a thief behind his car. Before he could finish speaking, Old White rushed back in panic. Luckily, the 1 billion won in cash inside the trunk was still there. After checking the dashcam footage, he discovered Long Hair was deliberately provoking the camera. This place was clearly no longer safe, so he moved the car to an outside parking lot. Meanwhile, Old White was still worried about where to hide the money, when suddenly his colleague called him. That guy got drunk, and he is demanding to go outside. Old White told them to keep him under control and that he would be back soon. Meanwhile, the old woman was heading toward Kim Guk-ho's residence, but unexpectedly the police had set up a checkpoint nearby. Anyone trying to pass had to be inspected. Luckily, there were only fishing tools inside her vehicle. The police found nothing suspicious and allowed her to continue on her way. At this moment, Old White finally returned. Kim Guk-ho was demanding to go out and buy something. He even shouted at the reporters outside, claiming that the police were violating his personal freedom. With no other choice, Old White had to agree, but he only gave him 5 minutes to protect this dangerous criminal. A team was sent to clear out the entire supermarket first, and all customers were forced to leave. Then another group escorted Kim Guk-ho into the supermarket. From inside the car, the old woman spotted Kim Guk-ho. This was the perfect chance for her revenge. She took out the prepared toxin and carefully applied it to the arrowhead. The old woman tried to enter the supermarket but was stopped by police. She claimed her blood sugar had dropped and said she only wanted to buy some chocolate. The officer eventually let her go inside. At that moment, Kim Guk-ho was casually eating, completely unaware that someone inside wanted him dead. The old woman pulled out a hidden spear gun and fired at Kim Guk-ho. Unfortunately, the first shot missed, so she quickly reloaded and fired a second shot. Just as she fired the third arrow, Old White arrived and stopped her. The police officer who was talking moments earlier suddenly collapsed after being poisoned. The young officer who had recently joined the force was rushed to the hospital. Old White found the old woman and knelt down, begging her to reveal what poison she had used. But the old woman remained silent inside the car. After the police investigation, they discovered that the old woman was the mother of Lee Anna, the victim from 13 years ago. Everything she did today was for revenge. She was also suffering from a terminal illness and did not have much time left. Her husband had also lost his sanity after their daughter's death. The old woman was now facing charges of attempted murder and injuring a police officer, although she was temporarily out of danger, but she would likely spend the rest of her life behind bars. Meanwhile, at the old woman's home, someone suddenly knocked on her door. The old man opened it but found no one outside. There was only a mysterious suitcase left at the doorstep. After yesterday's assassination attempt, even more protesters gathered outside Kim Guk-ho's home. The police had no choice but to send more officers. Old White walked over to his colleague and asked, "I heard you bought a new car, can I borrow it for a couple of days?" Before the colleague could react, he grabbed the keys. Old White secretly moved the suitcase, containing 1 billion won in cash, into his colleague's car. At that moment a man stood across from Kim Guk-ho's house, and started speaking loudly toward the crowd, claiming that the police were violating Kim Guk-ho's personal freedom. He even announced that he would become Kim Guk-ho's legal representative, but he was quickly taken away by the police. He turned on his phone camera, and aimed it at the police and the protesters nearby. He checked the protest records and found there was no official application, meaning the gathering had violated regulations, and was infringing on other people's rights. He demanded the police arrest everyone immediately, otherwise he would sue them for neglecting their duties. Facing such a difficult lawyer, the police could do nothing. Kim Guk-ho witnessed everything from inside, and immediately requested to meet this lawyer. Thinking about the divorce request from his wife, he realized he really needed a lawyer now. Kim Guk-ho said to the lawyer in front of him, "I have no money right now. If you are here to make money from me, then you chose the wrong person." Jack smiled and said he did not need any money, but Kim Guk-ho knew there was no such thing as a free meal. There must be something he wanted in return.
필요한 게 생기면 제가 그때 말씀드리겠습니다.
However, the attempts to kill Kim Guk-ho had not stopped. To get the 20 billion won reward, a man secretly broke into a laboratory and stole several bottles of chemicals. After returning home, he built a remote control device and placed the stolen chemicals into containers. Soon a simple remote-controlled bomb was completed. To test the power of the bomb, he went to an abandoned building. Using a dummy as the assassination target, he placed the bomb beside it, then pressed the button on the remote control. The explosion's effect satisfied him completely. He believed the 20 billion won reward was already his. Meanwhile, Old White was severely criticized by his superior, because his reckless decision almost ruined the entire mission. His boss questioned why he did not report it beforehand. Now one of their teammates had been seriously injured because of it, but Old White refused to back down. He and his colleagues risked their lives carrying out the mission, yet the security department only sent ordinary officers. There simply were not enough people at the scene. The captain lost his temper and dragged Old White away. Otherwise this guy would have caused another disaster. Old White had no choice but to return to his desk, but suddenly a package appeared on his table. Inside was only a USB drive. He plugged it into his phone and checked the contents. It was the surveillance footage of him secretly taking the suitcase. Just when he was completely at a loss, a mysterious phone call suddenly came in.
여보세요.
요즘 블랙박스 화질 좋죠?
너 이 개새끼야 지금 뭐 하자는 거야? 어?
Long Hair had been demanding the return of the 1 billion won. After all, he had paid for it with his own ear. If he released this video to the media, it would definitely become tomorrow's headline news. His demand was actually very simple. Return the 1 billion won within 2 days. Otherwise you can say goodbye to your life as you know it. Meanwhile, the man had already prepared the bomb. He handed the package containing the bomb to a delivery worker, and demanded that it arrive before 6 p.m. Then he went alone to Kim Guk-ho's home and waited for the delivery. There he happened to see Kim Guk-ho's lawyer arguing with the police, while the assassination target Kim Guk-ho watched from the side. At that moment the delivery arrived right on time. A police officer casually took the package, but the lawyer immediately stopped him, questioning why the police had not inspected it. What if there was a bomb inside? Hearing this conversation, the man started to panic. If the police discovered the truth, all his efforts would be wasted. Kim Guk-ho was already within the blast range. Ignoring all the innocent people nearby, he decided to detonate the bomb early. But after pressing the button, the package showed no reaction. He tried several more times but nothing happened. Just then Old White arrived at the scene. Hearing them argue over such a small matter, he grabbed the package without hesitation and threw it into the car. Seeing the assassination about to fail, the man had no choice but to throw away the remote control. Then he pulled out hydrochloric acid from his bag and started Plan B, and rushed straight toward Kim Guk-ho.